When I was a child, my family and I would visit Queen Elizabeth Country Park in Hampshire. At the top of the park, hidden deep in the forest, once stood a 30-foot sculpture of a huge chair. It was known as the Giant's Chair. Camouflaged amongst the trees, the Giant's Chair stood alone. It didn't feature on any maps and it wasn't signposted. It was shrouded in mystery and wonder. My family and I would climb the chair. My dad would climb up first and pull us up after him. We were far too small to climb up ourselves. The back of the chair looked like a ladder, and my dad would climb all the way to the top. Although we visited frequently, I didn't know anything about the chair. I didn't know who made it, what it was made from, not even how long ago it was made. And this was the start of my hunt for the giant. I began with a simple Google search, Giant's Chair, Queen Elizabeth Country Park, but nothing really came up, not even on the country park's website. I did find an old blog on their website that the park used to update monthly. In a post dated April 2012, it explained that the chair was due to be taken down that month due to rot. It said that the chair was made from beech trees cut from the surrounding area and was created in the late 70s as an art project rather than a play facility. It also mentioned that the park had commissioned designer Andy Frost to create a new Giant's Chair. This was going to be designed as a play facility in a more accessible area. All this just gave me more questions than answers. What was the art project? Who was the artist, or was it a group of people? I also realised I had actually climbed the Andy Frost chair a few years after this blog post was written. So I contacted the park to try and find some more information. I began asking around to try and discover more about the chair's origin. I spoke to my dad and, bizarrely, he had not long found a map of the country park that he had saved for myself and my siblings. He had marked the location of the chair in biro so we would always be able to find it. He has had this map for over 10 years. So, armed with my map, I visited the country park. I hadn't visited in many years and I knew vaguely where the chair once was, so I set off to try and find it. At the top of the park, I remembered that the path forked, and just before it did that, to the right was a small opening in the trees. In the summer, when the trees are full, it can be really hard to find. Following that path, about a third of the way down, I felt I was close to the spot, so I checked my dad's map and I was right. Somewhere on the left-hand side of this path used to sit the Giant's Chair. I thought I might find something there, perhaps a sign or a plaque, but there was nothing. I took pictures of where I thought the chair once stood with the intention of comparing them to the park's blog photo, taken nearly 10 years earlier. I felt sad. So many amazing memories had occurred right here, yet so many people will walk past, none the wiser. And then I noticed on several trees surrounding the site were carvings. Names, initials, love hearts. They were all quite old and this felt like my sign that I was definitely in the right place. Tim Speller, the site manager of Queen Elizabeth Country Park, replied to my email. He confessed he didn't know much of the sculpture's origin. He also mentioned that the replacement by Andy Frost had been taken down due to rot as well. He agreed to meet with me and mentioned that he may have a file of old negatives from the 70s that I could look through. I was so excited. I couldn't help but imagine what those photos might be, and what else would they be taking photos of if not a 30-foot chair. I envisioned a group of young hippies all sat around their huge creation. Before this meeting, I took my images and compared them to the park's blog image and photoshopped them together. With this photoshopped image, I created a parody missing persons poster that had featured in one of my drawings. I began sharing this poster everywhere. I had many responses, but no one could offer me any information about the chair's actual origin. Until I received a message from a Queen Elizabeth Country Park ranger who believed parts of the dismantled chair were still on site in their timber yard. My meeting with Tim was great. I explained my journey so far and he gave me amazing information on the park's history. Once Queen Elizabeth Forest, until it became a country park, it had all been hand planted or by pony, using trial blocks to see what would grow best, and it became apparent that it would be beech. He informed me again that he had little information on the original Giant's chair. He wasn't sure who created it, but was still in contact with some people who had worked in the park back then. He then turned to a table to show me the file of negatives. I was shocked. The file of old negatives was in fact 3 huge boxes, jam-packed with photos. He kindly said I could take them home to look through them at my leisure. There were boxes of physical photographs, albums of negatives, and several boxes of slides. There were also old information cards that were taken down from visitor boards over the years. It was overwhelming how many images there were. Feeling so privileged to be able to look through such a rich history, I looked through every image, every frame, every note written on the back. They documented everything, from a new flint wall, a path, a sign, their strong sheep shearing background, to a new pond, wildlife, fauna, even the Queen visiting. It was all there. All except my Giant's chair. I felt disheartened, but I carried on looking. And then I found one album of negatives that had a few images of the chair. And although I was happy to have finally found some images of the chair, it was just simply of the chair in situ. With no dates or information, I looked at the date the film itself was made, only to discover it wasn't invented until the early 90s. So I knew this wasn't the beginning of the chair, as the dates were wrong. I then found a box of slides that had scribbled in the corner in biro sculptures. These images feature the chair and some people climbing it. It looked like some sort of talk was taking place at the foot of the chair. But again, this film was made in the early 90s. Feeling like a detective on the hunt for a missing person, I went back over everything I had found so far to see if I had missed something. I found an image from the park's archives that I had found in my initial search. It was of a young man and a small child carving some sort of wooden creature. It had written on the bottom, Robert Jakes, sculptor in residence. In my initial search, I had gone on his website and scoured his CV, but there was no mention of the Giant's chair. I decided to contact him. I thought that if he was a sculptor doing a residency and had heard of a 30-foot sculpture, he would have likely gone to view it. So I asked him if he remembered seeing it and if he had any information he could share. He emailed me back and I was really confused. Although he mentioned his residency, he also said something about a twig throne and sent me a picture of the chair that I hadn't seen before, and there was a man stood on it. I replied completely bewildered and asked, "Are you telling me that you're the creator of the Giant's chair?" He emailed me back and simply said, "Hi Laura, yes,